Hey, welcome back. So, over the weekend, professional football player JJ Watt posted on Twitter that he had found a baby rattlesnake in his house and was like, what am I supposed to do? So, oh my gosh. So, if you have not heard about that story, that's what we're going to talk about right now. Hi, my name is Stacy. Everyone calls me Stace. We're out here in Gold Canyon, Arizona. I'm next to the Superstitions. If you're not familiar with this part of Arizona, so on the east side of the state. So, like I said, I saw online that he was faced with something that I've been faced with for sure, a rattlesnake or seeing a snake in your house and how to deal with it. Now, those of you that have seen his story know that he came online and told everybody, okay, I have a baby rattlesnake in the house. What do I do? Everyone, I guess, shout out answers, I'm sure, to him. And he called for help. And when the person came out to get the snake, they realized it was not a baby rattlesnake. It was a different kind of snake, and it was a long-nosed snake. And the story to me was really, there was a lot of really positive things to it, but the next highlights or the newsreels, all they really want to talk about was rattlesnake or JJ Watt being a wimp. And neither of those are correct. So that's what we're going to sit here and talk about. And I want to talk about that story that he just went through. I've dealt with it myself personally, and it actually being a rattlesnake. So from someone who has been there, who is in Arizona, come hang out. Like I said, I want to talk about it a little bit more. Now, water. Before I get started, always water, water, water. You guys know we're in the desert, wherever you are, drink more water, drink more water. But be mindful of your water at this point. Obviously, there's droughts everywhere, so be careful with it, be mindful, but make sure that you're getting yourself hydrated. So like I said, so over the weekend, I want to say it was on Saturday. Now, football player JJ Watt is a very large man. This is a very big man. I want you to picture this, okay? I want you to picture the whole story and go through it with me, because like I said, there's a lot of good that he did and a lot for us to learn from and to take away from the story. So there he is. He's in his home. Like I said, this is a large man. He's I don't know him personally, but I'm gonna speak for him. I'm sure he's very self-assured in himself and his world. Okay, so this is just a normal man that's walked in and now has seen a snake in his house that he's really not sure about identifying, and he believes it is a baby rattlesnake. Now, I'm gonna stop right there. For those of us that have had and encountered a rattlesnake in and around your home, it is a terrifying experience that I am not going to downplay or laugh about or anything else. There are people out there that don't like snakes in general and that are just terrified of them. Some of us understand the difference between a venomous snake and non-venomous snake, and so certain ones are going to startle us more or not. But a rattlesnake comes with its own energy. I've said that before on other videos. This is something that is deadly, period. Now, I know he mentioned that it was a baby rattler due to the size that he thought he was looking at. And that's something else we're going to touch on as I keep talking, right? I need my water. I need my water. It is so hot out here. You guys are going to watch me just melt as I'm making this video. Anyways, he sees what he thinks is a small rattler. He goes online and he gets help. Now, those are the things that I'm going to say, yeah, absolutely, yes. You step away. When you are encountering a snake in your home that you do not identify or are identifying as venomous, the first thing I really want you to do is back away. So he did absolutely right. Clear that back. Get everybody back away from this snake. If you can take pictures from a very safe distance, do so. But if not, you just simply need to get online and call. You call somebody. For me, and I say this all the time, and for JJ Watt and for your family, if no one has already said it, but I'm sure they have, Rattlesnake Solutions is who you go to out here. That is who helped me understand the differences, learn all about it. That is your go-to. Now, I'm not sure if that's who they called, but for those of you that are online with me and on YouTube, you can follow Rattlesnake Solutions. Just type them in. The last thing that I watched them do was amazing. They were in their workspace, and Brian's just awesome to watch. So when you're looking for details and you're starting to really, I want to actually be able to identify snakes, that's who I'm going to tell you to go to, is Rattlesnake Solutions. If you have one around your house, your property, I'm going to tell you to call them, because also they're the people that are going to tell you where that they possibly are going to be lurking in your property, how to do the fencing properly, all of those things. But yes, the minute that you see something like that, and especially in your house, you're going to call for help. Very few of us are equipped to handle snakes. So like I said, so in his story, he sees a snake, he identifies it as a baby rattlesnake. He knows from the stories that he's heard that this somehow is a very dangerous snake, or more so than a large one, which I would argue. I've seen some large rattlesnakes with some heads on them that I'm going to argue on what would be more dangerous if you had one in your home. A large one would be terrifying. He calls, he gets help. The help comes out to his home. The help recognizes, whoever he is called recognizes that this snake is not venomous, and because of all of this person's training, was able to simply walk over to it, pick it up, and remove it. Now, being a large, powerful man, I'm sure there was moments that he was like, well, why didn't I do that? Why couldn't I have done that? Well, because you did everything right. JJ, like I said, I don't know you, but you did everything right. You didn't know. And taking that gamble on that snake, putting your hand, put anyone's hand when you don't know what that snake is a risk that is, no, it's not needed. No. You can die from something like that. You can lose your hand, arm. There's so much bad that could happen if you didn't know. And on our channel, we've been talking about identifying, we've been working on birds, but I've been doing these videos for quite a while. We got over like 400 of them on the channel now, where we've talked about identifying things and the importance of it, or just the importance of not touching something and staying safe. My channel is all about safety and the love of the desert. I am so proud of JJ. I'm so proud of you for not saying I'm going to kill this thing, for not trying to throw the snake somewhere, for all the violence that we have seen happen towards our creatures out here in Arizona. For someone like you to go, no, I'm going to call and I'm going to have it done properly, was fantastic, because in that you showed everybody that you don't have to behave like that towards a snake. You don't have to kill it. Yes, you can be afraid of it. Yes, you can not know exactly what it is. But that doesn't mean that animal, that species, whatever it is, that reptile, doesn't have to lose its life because of your fear. You can call someone who can take care of it. And in calling and doing the right thing, we find out it is one of our good snakes, what everybody calls it. It's one of the snakes you do want around. It's not going to harm you. It worked out for everybody. And in that, people that had no idea that a long-nosed snake might look like a rattlesnake, you just let everyone know that. That's some of the mission that we've all been on, is letting everyone know that we have so many different kinds of snakes out here. You could not recognize a Sonoran gopher snake, which are just the best snakes ever. I have one. That look kind of like, some of their patterns look kind of like a rattlesnake. And you could inadvertently hurt or try to kill a snake that you really, really want around, that is going to take care of like your rat population. Now, saying all of that he did all those things right, like I said, calling, getting the snake removed, understanding it, identifying it, he goes online, he tells everybody. Now that to me is like a real human. That's a solid human that can say, I said this, I declared this, it wasn't, I was wrong, I kind of feel embarrassed that I wasn't able to pick it up myself, I'm a wimp, whatever, and move on. That's awesome, and that's why people like him even more, because it's great to hear a real man say, I didn't know. I had someone come help me. They showed me what it was. Everybody got out of this safe. All right, so maybe y'all thought I was big and brave and I should have done something. I didn't, but whatever. That message is I think I need some water. Thank you. But I do want to touch on the reality of what it feels like and the emotions. And I don't want to brush over what it feels like to have a snake in your house, especially, like I said, when it's been a rattlesnake. So let me get some more water. If you don't feel a fear when you are near a rattlesnake, I'm concerned about you. And that goes for everybody out there. And you might say, I don't live in Arizona State. There's a lot of snakes all across, and you need to make sure that the area that you live in, you understand that there are other creatures out there that are venomous. There's across a certain part of our country that has quite a few. So you may not be aware. You're going to want to at least be aware of who is in your general area, right? But I don't think that you're required as a resident of the desert to be the expert on these things. You're not. You're not. When I was faced with my first time seeing a rattlesnake on our property, we live out on 3 acres out here by the desert. There's just no way you're going to control a reptile population when you have that much desert property. Now, I don't know where his family lives, but I'm going to guess it's on a decent amount of property and it's got some desert around it. And that poses us a lot of problems with how when you realize, okay, I've built this beautiful home out here and I love it and I love what's happening, but oh my gosh, the reality of a snake has now been in my house. That was something I was able mentally to put away for a while. I was like, I hadn't seen one, and you've seen me. I have videos, if you go back, I've talked about what it feels like and the times when these things did happen as they were happening. It makes you think a little differently about your home and your safety, and for some of us, it was like, oh my God, this fear. I had trouble sleeping right after my encounters. So I want to go over that a little bit. And like I said, I don't know. Their family might be fine. They might have been able to brush it off. But I don't know if anyone has said to them, hey, it is legitimate if you are still having some, I don't know, where did I just move to? How scary is Arizona? What am I supposed to continue doing? I'm having trouble with this. So from someone who was born and raised in the desert, I want to tell you some of my experiences, and through all of this, we can share and help everyone learn and keep growing, right? So for me, I had gone most of my entire adult life without ever seeing a rattlesnake. And so the first time I saw one was not at my home, and I was out at a museum in a barn where it was more likely to see one. And it's like when you're out on a trail and you see a snake, your brain goes, okay, well, I'm outside and I am in their area. And so that makes more sense to me. My body reacts almost differently to it. When I was in this old barn and had already been told rattlesnakes are there, though I hadn't seen them and didn't want to see them, when I saw one, okay, like this picture is sitting right behind me, these were no joke. They had already told me these were big rattlesnakes. These had been there for a while. This is out on the property next to the superstition behind the museum, that I was going to see them. So the first time I saw one, it wasn't a surprise, but I was still terrified. And no, I did not take care of it. It was not something that I was not expected to do. And it being the museum, fire department will come out if they're really big, or there's some gentleman that'll remove them, but they just still put them back out into the desert for the most part. The first time I had one in my house, first time wasn't inside the house. It was directly outside of my bedroom. Early in the morning, probably this time of year, I had put some pallets aside and I wanted to make a raised garden. And so I went outside, that sliding door outside my bedroom, and went over to, and I was looking at them, and I picked up one of the pallets and I flipped it over. And I flip it over. And when I flop it down, out of the side of it is a snake, and it's a rattlesnake. And every part of my system and everything that I already knew and every education, every bit of it was gone, okay? Fear took over, and I had realized I had just hurled a rattlesnake up and over my head, and I am now not that far from it, and it's not that happy, and it's trying to figure itself out now from underneath this pallet. And it was, to me, one of the most terrifying experiences I had ever been in. I run and I'm trying to call 911 because I don't know. Now I'm not remembering anything. I'm just scared. I'm scared of every bit of this. And they're like, can you take down the non-emergency number? And I'm like, no. Can you send somebody out? And they sent out the fire department for me. And these men came, and they have the big bucket, and they've got they've got these that are really, really long. And they came and they picked up the snake. And they looked at me honestly and said, do you want us just to relocate it on your property? Because like I said, I'm surrounded by acres. I was like, that's when the reality started hitting me that, oh my God, this snake lives here too. It lives here too. Am I just moving it farther out? It was just close to me. Wow, I'm starting to understand really the ecosystem that I had moved into, that I was now one of them. And this in particular resident was above me. It could kill me. We're going to play at a different level. It wasn't just like that the coyotes were through, and I think you can tell yourself all day long, well, the snakes are through. No. We We have residents that need respect and their own space and all of those things. I couldn't sleep that night. It was horrible. I was having these flashbacks. One of them, oh my God, I had a snake over my head, rattlesnakes, and did I just really buy my dream house? And I'm living here in this beautiful place, but there's rattlesnakes. And what was I gonna do? Oh my God, my whole brain was just exploding. Next morning, I drove to the fire department, and it was not necessarily the same men that had come to my house. I just went to the fire department, the closest one, and talked to them. Is what I did. I talked to the men about what was I expected, and I was new to this, and should I have tried to pick up the snake by myself? And they're like, absolutely not, and you do call for help. And no, and they just gave me the education that I needed and a little bit of reassurance, and that, again, that seeing a snake is startling. Seeing a rattlesnake is a different experience. Seeing one in your home takes it to a different level, and I give respect to those that have encountered that, the feelings that has happened, all of what it does to you. So like I said, I still really wanted to make sure I addressed JJ Watt and his family, that I still feel you, that whether or not, you laugh about it or whatever, you're gonna step outside now and you're gonna be looking in corners and you're gonna be doing things different. It's why some of us have some of the weird responses we do. I don't ever walk out of my front door anywhere without kind of looking around because of things. I look under bushes, have certain things cleared. Those of us that have been around the snakes a lot, yeah, there's a different way you respond. For me, the worst experience that I had, and this is where I can relate to him, and I'm so glad your family did not have a rattlesnake close. I had made a video about this if you would like to go back and watch. It was about 4 o'clock in the morning, and my dogs woke me up. They wanted to go out to pee, and I did something really wrong. I didn't have my contacts in, and I did not grab for my glasses, so I just went on instinct, didn't flip on lights, just went over to the sliding door to let the dogs out the backyard to go pee. The minute I hit the slider, the alert happens. And it's a rattlesnake. And I am in the dark. I have no shoes on. I have opened a slider. The dogs have already run out. And there's an alerting rattlesnake, and I have no idea where it's at. I can't see it. Somewhere down by my feet, somewhere, there's a rattlesnake alerting. The noise that I let out of me, I tell everybody, is basically guttural. I don't even know what to describe the noise that came out of me. My husband in the other room, I somehow managed to scream for. He's a Marine, flies at me. What's wrong with him? Like, flip on the lights. We flip on the lights, and the rattlesnake is on the other side of the glass of the sliding door. It had been very hot, like it has been, and it was using the metal to cool off and to sit on. A horrible experience. But now I have a rattlesnake, and at this point in my life, I did have the training to be able to move it. I do have my grabbers and all of the things that I needed, and went and got dressed and safely moved it. But that's me years into being here. But that moment in my life still causes me problems. It still jars me. I have trouble hearing the noise. I go by the slider like a crazy person now, whatever you want to call that, because I have trouble being near it sometimes. I definitely don't open it without. So it was something very traumatic that had to change my behaviors. And in that, I try to tell everybody, please, 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 if you live out here, you don't open the doors, you don't do anything at night without flipping your lights on first, having that kind of light where it either startles a very dangerous animal or illuminates one that's doing this at you. So, video's already running long. Thank you again. Thank you, JJ, for all of it, for telling everybody, for highlighting what baby rattlesnakes, for calling someone, for not harming this snake, for letting everyone know that a long nose is a snake that's out here as well, and it's good. That someone as amazing as you can humble themselves and say, I didn't know, this is what happened, and let us all feel like we're part of it along with you. I've been trying to spread as much education of safety as possible, and you really helped this out. So thank you. Look forward to talking to everybody again. We'll get back to talking about birds and why now identifying is important, and we'll keep on our education. Thank you. Talk to you soon.